Okay, so we are live on Facebook. I'm going to share the link with everybody so that they can. Okay, so we are live on Facebook. I'm going to share the link with everybody so that they can. I need to mute my Facebook because it's actually disturbing the Zoom conversation. Tuba, can you see the live on our Facebook Evolution
Yes.
Facebook?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
And I can see you in my presentation.
Just a second. Okay, so I think we should start. We are live on Facebook. We should officially start the session and we'll have our students and the audience join in time to time. Yeah, so welcome everybody to today's webinar. Today we'll be talking about something really important, that is mental health. Firstly, initially, when we thought about this idea last week, we thought of having it for just our English Works alumni on Zoom. However, later on, we thought that this is something that a lot of people are facing during the crisis that we are right now, COVID-19, and we thought of opening it on Facebook Live so that more and more audience can benefit from the content that we'll be talking about today. So first of all, before proceeding towards the main content, we need to understand the need, I think. So for us as a nation, it's very important to understand the significance of mental health. Unfortunately, what we have been seeing globally is that mental health is not seen as a real problem. It is seen as a taboo, and anyone having mental illness is not taken as seriously as anybody else suffering from any disease or any other type of illness. So today's topic, why we think is important during this time of quarantine life, social distancing, isolation. Many of us are facing the fear, many of us are going through anxiety, depression, sadness. So we really thought that it's important for us to understand that it's normal to go through this. However, you should know how to cope up with these mental illness that you may be facing. So today we will be talking about the effects of coronavirus pandemic and the lockdown that may have on your mental health. What are some of the ways in which you can counter these problems to help yourself and to help the loved ones that may need your assistance during this crisis? So to present on mental health and coping up during the COVID-19 crisis, we have Tooba Qaiser. She is the clinical psychologist and also a certified behavioral therapist. So warmly welcome, Tuba, to the session. And I'm very much thankful for you to accept the invitation to talk to our students and also to the audience who are watching us on Facebook Live.
Thank you so much, Sidra, for having me. It's a pleasure indeed. What you guys are doing is great work, and I'm glad that I could be a small part of it.
Thank you so much, Tuba, for the appreciation. This keeps us going and working for the community. Before I give the floor to Tuba, we are going to have 30 minutes talk that Tuba will be talking about different things that, are related to the content. And the last 10 minutes, we are going to talk about some of the questions that you may be posting throughout the session. So I would really want it interactive. It would be great if you all can keep on sending us questions, and we'll ensure that most of them or all of them are answered by the end of the session. So the floor is yours, Tuba. Please, you may begin your session.
Thank you, Sidra. Before I get into the session, I just wanted to give a little brief introduction of myself. I am Tooba Qaiser, and I'm a clinical psychologist, as Sidra said, cognitive behavioral therapist. Cognitive behavioral therapist works on the thoughts and the thinking processes, which then benefit the behavior in the end. I have explored quite a lot of fields in under heading of psychology. I have been working as a research associate as well. I am teaching at Karachi Grammar School. I'm teaching psychology to A levels. With that, I'm doing my clinical practice. Now I have started another field with a page about team neurodiversity, in which I'm working with children with special needs. So that was a little about myself. Now, coming to the topic, why we are here today is about mental health and coping with the crucial time we all are facing right now, the global pandemic. Why is it important to talk about? As Sidra said, that sometimes we neglect the importance of how this is affecting our mental health, and then we completely ignore it, and then it becomes worse. So we should know about the cause, we should know about the reasons why we are behaving in a certain way, so that it is easier for you to cope with. So starting with a little background, and don't worry, I will not talk about coronavirus at all right now, because I think we are already overwhelmed with the information given by the news media and the social media. So I wanted to talk about what quarantine is. Like we see this word, we use this word now so often, but what that actually means is that the separation and restriction of the movement of people who may have or have potentially been exposed to the virus, so that there is a less reduced risk chances of them infecting others. Now, you might think that how is this different from isolation? Isolation means the same thing as well. But what the basic difference is that isolation means that I need to separate myself from sick people. So in isolation, I would know who I have to be separated from. I would know who are the people who are infected, and then I will isolate myself. But in this quarantine, our enemy is so unpredictable, so uncertain that we don't know. Even maybe we are exposed to the virus and we can get the other people's infected, or we can get it from other people. So minimizing your movement is very crucial. Coming to a little background about why and how was this word used. Now, the first time when the quarantine word was used, it was used in Venice, Italy, in 1127 with regard to leprosy. Now, leprosy was is a like chronic progressive disease by a bacteria, caused by a bacteria. And if I'm not wrong, the name of the bacteria is Mycobacterium leprae. Now, what it used to do is that it used to affect the nerve endings of the extremities. It used to affect the skin, inner lining of the nasal tract, respiratory tract. So, and nowadays it's called the Hansen's disease. But at that time, it was like a black death. No, there was no cure. Everybody was dying with it. So that time, the first time the word quarantine was used, and later after 300 years, UK actually implemented it in response to plague. Now, if quarantine is very important, if quarantine is required and necessary, then why is it an unpleasant experience? Because we are separated from our loved ones. Many of us are with our families, but many of us are not. They are somewhere stuck outside their countries. They are living separately, so they are avoiding contact and meet up. So they are separated from loved ones, families, friends, immediate families, everyone. The loss of freedom. Now, I think this is a part which is the most affecting to all of us. For instance, if you get a break, like a week break from your work, from your school, from your any type of a routine, maybe you won't go outside. Maybe you will choose to stay home. Maybe you choose to just not meet anyone and just be lazy, watch TV. But that will be your choice, right? You are not going outside because that's your choice. But someone telling you that you can't go, you cannot meet, you cannot do certain things, and you have to behave in this pattern, then that is what hits us very badly. That's okay, the loss of my freedom, that I cannot take decisions. Uncertainty over disease status. Now, over here, for instance, whenever we want to combat some enemy, something, we need to understand the nature of it. The nature of corona is so unpredictable, so uncertain. Like there can be three people, all three positive with corona, but one can be hardly surviving, one will be having mild symptoms, one will be having no symptoms and still be positive. So the effect of the virus is so uncertain, and we don't know how is it spreading. It's multiplying every day, it's not in our control. So that uncertainty hits us very badly. Boredom now can create that dramatic effect. Now there's nothing to do, I don't feel like doing anything, I can't do that again, I don't want to do this, I don't feel like doing this. So all these dramatic effects do come from boredom. Suicidal thoughts. There's no I think we won't survive, I think there's nothing to focus on, there's nothing to look forward to, it's better we don't live. Things like that do hit us. Then that anger that is generated, that because of this helplessness, because of this hopelessness that we feel, that creates that anger, the frustration that I think most of us are feeling through. Now, we need to understand that why quarantine is important, right? We need to understand that why need to do this. For instance, our quarantine does play an important role to stop or limit this spread of the disease. But with that, coping with your disruptive normal routine is as important, right? Focusing on your mental health is essential. Even if the time of the quarantine is very brief, we don't know that, but still focusing on your mental health is as important as your physiological health. Coming to another second point that we need to focus on is that why are we doing this? We are doing this to flatten the curve. I think you must have heard this flatten the curve phrase from social medias, articles on the media, news channels. But what does that mean? What is that curve? So what the curve means, that researchers are actually referring it to the number of people who will contact or will contract COVID-19. But again, let me clear you guys that it's not like a hard or concrete figure to give how many people will get infected. It's actually just a theoretical number to use as a model that how will it spread. So what is happening that the curve right now is inclining very high. The multiplication every day of the cases are getting by 100, by 200. So the incline to flatten that curve, we need to socially distance ourselves. That is what flattening the curve means, if you guys still were not clear about. Now, how is it affecting our mental health? I have read so many articles. Now I am dealing with so many people who are going through this. I think what I've summarized is that there are three main key elements on which the quarantine is hitting us mentally, on our mental health. The three main aspects are autonomy, competency, and connectedness. Now, what does this mean? Autonomy means the freedom of or independence of my thoughts or actions. For instance, if I was living in a strict household, but now I am living an independent life, that is an example of that I am experiencing autonomy. So that is being affected. Why? Because now my freedom is gone. I cannot plan my day according to what I want to. I cannot do what I want to do in my normal daily routine. I have to stick with what my government tells me, right? What my health professionals tell me. Competency means the ability to apply and use your knowledge and skills. And why we are not able to do that? Because we are working from home. Many things that we are not able to do, what we used to do in our normal routine, is taken away. So competency is being hit. Connectedness. Now, what is that connectedness? Is the belonging, feeling of belonging or having affinity to a particular person, to a particular group. So main broad, there are many things that get affected, but I think these are the three main part that gets affected during quarantine. Now, first of all, the isolation that is being imposed by quarantine frequently leaves people feeling having no control over the situation. Now, what happens is that when I feel a little not my normal self, Why? Because in my mind, there's this uncertainty. Whenever there's this uncertainty, we start feeling different kind of symptoms. And right now, the biggest thing is that we have no control over this situation, right? Either if it happens to me, how will I deal with it? How can I protect myself? How can I control the situation? It is not in my control. First of all, when this feeling hits you, you start feeling that uncertainty. So that is what is imposed by isolation. Secondly, the feeling of being cut off from the rest of the world, right? In my routine, if I used to wake up, I used to go for a run. I used to do it with my friend. I used to go to a cafe to get my coffee. I used to say hi to some people. So all my normal small connectedness is also affected. So I'm being cut off. That feeling again is very exhausting. Now, the time doesn't pass. Is it just been 2 in the afternoon? Oh, it's just been 4 in the evening. The time doesn't pass, and it creeps us out that how slow the time has become. It's actually the same time, but it's not passing because of that boredom effect. Even if you are home with your family members, the isolation, sense of isolation and cabin fever is very powerful. Now, what cabin fever means is the feeling claustrophobic, that you are trapped inside something and you cannot leave. That is what cabin fever feels. So even if with your family, you will feel the sense of isolation hit you, the sense of cabin fever sometimes hit you, right? Now, the American Psychological Association reports that isolation carries number of physiological and health risks also. Now, what is that? Poor sleep, poor cardiovascular health, lower immunity. Now, there are many researchers that say that if a person develops a psychological symptom, they will affect their immunity also. They get more prone to getting infections, depressive symptoms, and impaired executive function. Now, when executive functions are impaired, we may find it difficult to do our normals that we used to do it very easily, like focusing. Our focusing gets affected. You're not focused anymore. You can't work anymore efficiently as you used to do. Your emotions regulation is getting out of control. If you were able to handle your emotions, now you're not able to, right? To recall information, to even remember information gets affected, and to follow directions. Matlab, means that three-way instructions, four steps instructions, you might able to not follow that. That gets affected. Now, what I believe is that, for instance, if I am in a situation, in a problem, and I know someone also have dealt with that, what we do is we go to them and we ask them, okay, when you were in that situation, what happened? So that you are more prepared, right? So I feel that sometimes you need to study about how the past quarantines have affected us. So I have quoted about a incident happened in 2002 and 2004, in which around 15,000 people in Toronto voluntarily went into quarantine. Now, there was this SARS syndrome called the severe acute respiratory syndrome. It has almost the same effect as COVID-19 because it was caused by the respiratory illness coronavirus. So again, for around 10 days, the individuals were asked not to leave their home, not to visit, to wear masks all the time, and to wash their hands frequently, almost what we are facing right now. Now, the interesting part is that the later research has indicated that quarantined individuals who were isolated had immediate and short-term psychological consequences. What were they? Around 30% of the participants displayed PTSD symptoms. What is PTSD? PTSD means post-traumatic stress disorder. What is that? For instance, if I had a traumatic event in my life and I felt certain emotions, I will keep facing those emotions and feel that emotions after a very long, long time also. So PTSD symptoms, 30% of the participants faced that. 31% had depressive symptoms. Now, there are other researchers also that found that 30%, around 29% felt that the other people avoided them. Now, I will do mention over here that even if you are a social person, very social person, used to go out a lot, after going back, when everything gets back to normal, inshallah, when you go back to that normal routine, you might not like it that much like you used to. So adjusting to yourself back to the normal routine is going to be difficult. So we need to prepare for that also. Even if you were very social, even if you were very outgoing, right? So you will have that feeling, and it will affect your friends also, your family also. Okay, first you used to talk a lot, now you're not talking a lot. First you used to hang out a lot, now you're not hanging out, because you are in a transition mode. So we need to give that, cut that slack for ourselves and others also, when we are out of this and when we are during this quarantine, in this quarantine. Now, what are the possible mental health effects of coronavirus? Now, this review says that the most commonly experienced effects are fear. First of all, fear of me getting it, fear of what will happen if I get it. Will I be able to survive? Will I not be able to survive? Sadness, right? The sense of isolation. Now we live in the city of lights, Karachi. If you are from here, we know that it is a, even if you go out like 2 a.m. in the at the night, everybody is out. It's like 9 p.m. in the night. But so that when sometimes if I had to go, I feel that empty roads. I feel that everybody is gone. It gives me that feeling, sadness, that where is everybody, right? Numbness. I don't feel like doing anything. I don't want to even wake up out of my bed. I don't want to leave bed. I feel numb. Insomnia. You can't sleep properly. Your sleep gets affected. Some people are sleeping a lot. Some people are actually not sleeping. Confusion about the what will happen. How will I manage? Anger, that will create anger, right? That getting frustrated, people in the family, what my clients are giving me complaints that I have started fighting with my family members, my relationships are getting affected. All these are underlying causes because of that. Post-traumatic stress symptoms that I just mentioned, depressive symptoms, low mood. Now you might ask that low mood means depression. What is the difference then? It's just like that depression is the climate and low mood is the weather. So depression is a heading, low mood comes under that. Depression is just not low mood, it's very, very bigger than that. It affects your socializing, it affects your sleep, it affects your eating habits, it affects your self-esteem, your identity, all of that. Low mood is just, you are just low right now and you might cope with it easily. Distress, emotional disturbances, right? You're not able to balance your emotional well-being. Irritability, you are so irritated all the time because of the frustration, because of the anger, and I'm emotionally exhausted, right? Because I'm with my family members all the time. Sometimes when we were in our normal routine, we used to crave for family time, that I need weekend, I want to spend time with my husband, my children, my family, my mother, my father. And now staying with them all the time is giving you the feeling of that you are emotionally drained, you are exhausted. Now you need a break. Now you need me time, right? This all are the most commonly experienced effects that are given by quarantine. Now you need to understand that whenever someone tells me, "Okay, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this," I in return I ask them that nobody is expecting you to be happy in this crucial time. It is not an easy time. It is a very difficult time. Even if you have your own home, your family, it's still very difficult. People who are completely alone, it's difficult for them also. So feeling these symptoms are actually normal in this situation. So this is what you need to tell yourself first, that if you are feeling the symptoms, it's normal to have this. When you are in a situation which is stressful, nobody will expect you to go happy go lucky, right? They will expect you to be stressed out, they will expect you to be sad or frustrated, which is fine. Absolutely, don't stop your emotions to flow. Let it be, you will figure it out. Sometimes trapping your own emotions inside actually burst out even worse. So it's better to talk about it. It's better to someone in the family or friends, call them, talk your heart out, call a professional, so do that under supervision. It will help you. And second thing that you need to understand, it's not just you being affected, it's a world pandemic. Everyone is in this together. It's not just the country, it's not just the city, it's the world pandemic. So we need to understand that what we are facing is normal, and it's not just us. Now, factors that influence coping. Before I talk about how to cope, I think it is very important for me to understand, because no one formula will be for everyone, right? Not one strategy will work for everyone, right? It's very subjective. So before you apply some kind of a coping strategy on yourself, you need to understand your personality. You need to understand what type of factors that can actually help you in coping and not help you in coping. So you need to first study and understand that. So first of all, we need to understand that everyone's coping strategies are different. Nobody is going to cope like in one strategy, right? Everybody has their own way. Sometimes people do a trial and error technique, that I'm going to try this on myself or on someone else, and I'll see if this works, then I'm going to try that. So it all depends on many factors. So I'm going to list that one by one. Number one, your current mental health, right? Previously existing mental health conditions. Were you already having depressive symptoms? Were you already having any anxiety symptoms? This will affect your inability to cope right now, right? If you are already exposed to these symptoms, obviously your coping strategy will be different. Your coping time, your the factors that it will influence your coping or will demotivate you, will affect you, because you had already previous symptoms, right? Second, how you deal with stress. Some people, we call that in health psychology hardiness in your personality. Like those who are already very much prone to dealing with stressful situations, they're already very good with and resilient with the facing stress, they will able to cope the negative situation right now more easily than those who are not. Personality plays a major role on how you will be able to cope with the situation. Now, to measure, there were many aspects of a personality that I wanted to cover. Then most of the time will be taken by that. I just wanted to keep it to main broad parts, which was being an extrovert and being an introvert. So people who are extrovert struggle more with feelings of isolation and loneliness. Why? Because they have this high need of social interaction. They feel like they will feel more difficulty in staying at home than the introvert. I'm not saying that introvert won't, of course they will, but I think extrovert will have more, because they have this need of socially interacting and all of that. Now, introvert, on the other hand, personalities tend to enjoy the solitude. They like being with themselves. They like being isolated. Actually, social contact, it doesn't give them that good feeling, so they avoid it. So I think compared to extroverts, introverts will have a little less difficult time to cope with this situation. Even introverts need social contact, so finding good ways to connect with other people is very important. Like Zoom meetings, like we are having one right now, we are connected to each other, we feel better. You can do that with your family members, you can do that with your friends, your office colleagues. Sometimes you need that. You need that social feeling of social connectedness, whether you are an extrovert or an introvert. So that will help you to feel that connectedness and the affinity. How long you are in quarantine? Duration of quarantine is a major role in playing with how you cope with it. Now, researchers say that the less the time, less the restrictions, better it is. But right now, for instance, in coronavirus especially, 14 days self-isolation is the minimum time required. But if that extends to that, someone is in quarantine and they have to spend the 14 days and they're still in quarantine, it will affect that. It will affect their mental well-being. So this plays a major role. And right now we are in a situation that we don't even know when it will get over. First, we knew it was 15 days. Now we know it is another 15 days. And we still don't know that when the month ends, will that continue or not? So it all is so unpredictable that we don't know that. So combining with this, how long quarantine is with the uncertainty, if you can make the connections of what I'm saying, is it's not this one factor, it's everything underlying your current mood right now. Now, things through which you can cope. establish routine. You really need to understand how much routine is important right now. Because, and over here I do want to mention that when people tell me that, my friends, my colleagues sometimes say that I am trying so hard to make my routine normal, I'm trying so hard to stay normal, and my response to them is that, why are you trying to make it normal? It is not normal. It's an abnormal situation. It's not normal. We need to accept that first. No matter how hard you try to make a routine normal, no hard you try to make a routine very productive, it will still be not that productive. It will still be not that normal. So don't try to make that normal. You are trying to uh, waste your energy into something that will not bring you that satisfaction. So instead of making a normal routine, try to make a routine in which you can work productively, right? Keeping in mind that maybe in the end you will not be satisfied. Maybe in the end you won't be able to do anything, which is fine. Absolutely. Some days, if you feel like doing everything, and some days you feel like, I don't even want to leave the bed, that's okay. But again, you need to come out of that. How you can do is, for instance, sometimes what people have done is that they, if they plan something, okay, in quarantine I'm going to start painting, in quarantine I'm going to start working on my music, I want to work on my writing. What they do is they had exhausted themselves in the first few days, and now they're bored. Now they want something else. So you need to make a structured routine so that you uh, keep everything that you want in the day and spread it out throughout. Like and we need to keep that in mind, that even children are not having that normal structure. So children are as out of sorts as an adult, right? So we need to keep them in mind also. We need to take care of ourselves also. So you need to, even if you're working from home, structure your routine. Structure your routine and break up the day to stay the monotony. And also do one thing, that for instance, if you have made a schedule, don't be too hard on yourself that you have to follow that schedule, otherwise you are not a good person. Otherwise you're not a successful person. No, don't wrap yourself up too much to with that. Try to do as much as you can, but if you can't, you have another day, you have another week, you can do that as well. So keep these things in mind when you're establishing a routine. But do establish a routine. Do give yourself a me time, your time. Even if it's taking a bath, give yourself a time. Even if listening to music, give yourself a time. Give yourself a break. Be as active as possible. You have to understand that in mobility affects your muscle mass, it affects your health, physiological health, it helps your metabolism. Sometimes people are having stomach issues, people are having numbness in their muscles, even if they were working out, even if they were not working out. So you need to be as active as possible. So even for a short period of time, do some physical activity, right? For example, in if we I didn't like to work out, I have started playing badminton with the family. So it's like a fun game, and it's exercise also. So do these kinds of activity. People are doing like indoor games, do that also, but try to incorporate activities that will involve your physical activity and muscle movements. So I have some like at home workout ideas, and you don't need to be a bring a bunch of expensive workouts. Exercise videos, watch, there are plenty of exercise videos on YouTube. Do it as a family workout. Play it on a video, play it on your laptop, move the sofas around, clean the room, and start working out as a family. Make fun of each other, have a happy moment. Body weight exercises, if you want to lose weight, that's a very good time to do that. Online workouts, as I just mentioned. Fitness applications, I've tried once, and it's actually very motivating. I thought it won't have that much effect, but it is very motivating. It keeps a chart of how much you are taking in, how much you're consuming, so things like that. Combat frustration and boredom. Now, boredom and frustration is one of the most common complaints given by people who are in quarantine. You and I, everyone has felt that. We feel like like by the end of the day, we sometimes feel this even at the start of the day, that okay, we have woken up, now what to do? I'm bored. What will I do? things like that. So you need to keep yourself busy in a productive way, like keep working on projects, find new activities to fill in, get things done to provide a sense of purpose and competency. Like I'll tell you, I have started a Facebook page called Team Neurodiversity. I did it in the quarantine time, so that I have this sense of doing a project. It keeps me busy. It gives me the satisfaction that I'm helping people also, and people are getting connected through that with the social distancing keeping in mind. So something to look forward to every day. Like when I wake up, I have ideas, I want to implement it. I try to be creative. So I keep myself busy mentally. Make plan, list some things you'd like to accomplish. Start checking a few things off list each day. So you feel like, okay, this was the list and I have done these much work. So you will feel better about yourself. Communicate. Now, staying connected to people is very important, right? This sense of isolation is hitting all of us. So please, through social media, join a support group. As I said, find us groups that interest you, post on them, have some ideas, be creative, uh, uh, design your own projects, things like that. Ideas to stay connected, like eat regular. I cannot emphasize enough how much important this is, to eat meals together. Right now you are at home, utilize this time to connect. And a family that connects on a table, eating table, I'm telling you, it's magical. You won't even realize how important the dining table discussions are. Use different forms of communication, like call your friend, text messages, email, video call, like we are doing it right now. So thing like that, social networks, to feel that connectedness and communicate, that you are able to communicate. Manage uncertainty by staying in present. Stop thinking about the future, right? Sometimes just stop thinking about it. Take each day as it is. I will focus on what I will do today. I will focus on how will I finish my day today, how productive I can be today, instead of what will I do when the month is over, what will happen after this, what will happen after that. First, try to be here and now. Focus on that. Reframe that I'm stuck inside to I can finally focus on my home and myself. For that, mindfulness and meditation is very, very highly recommended. Try that. It's very easy. Even listen to some music. People sometimes feel that praying, recitations help them do that. Anything that makes you feel in present. When you will do meditation, find online videos. It will really help you. I may post and give some email to Sidra and she can share it with you, some authentic videos. When you listen to, sometimes if you're listening to music, just close your eyes and focus on your body, focus on your heartbeat, focus on your breathing in, breathing out. You won't even realize how sometimes unconsciously you have tightened up your muscles. When you focus, okay, your hands were tight, your thighs muscles were too tight, you need to loosen up. You need to focus on your pulse, your heartbeat. When you listen to your own heartbeat, you will start focusing on your health also. You will start feeling connectedness to you with yourself also, which we have lost, right? So embracing mental health, well-being measures by relying on others are also when it's necessary. Call someone if you need help. There are many portals that can help you and guide you through and connect you to the right people. Get to talk to right professionals. People are doing online sessions that can help you as well. Manage your expectations. Do not underestimate, I cannot emphasize enough that do not underestimate the cognitive and emotional load that this pandemic is bringing us. Our thinking strategies have affected, our negative thought processes have gone up. This is all normal right now. It's okay. Sometimes what we do is when we start thinking negatively, we try to stop it. Don't stop it. Let it out. Talk about it. When it's out, and if you don't have anyone to talk to, write it down. And when you feel better, read it out again. And then you will realize, okay, I was thinking too irrationally. Okay, I think I was too angry. Okay, I think I was focusing too negative on negative aspects. I need to focus on what I have, what I can do, how can I deal with. So manage your expectations. Manage your expectations and know the reality. That is very important, right? Stay informed but not overwhelmed. I completely believe that too much information is as harmful as less information. And right now, every household has their own remedy to coronavirus. Every household has their own definition of coronavirus. So stop listening to everything and everyone. Only focus. For instance, I only take information from reliable resources like Centers of Disease Control, World Health Organizations. So try to focus on details which is given by authentic researchers and websites. Don't just focus on, because media will exaggerate things. Media will give some false statements. So you need to focus on what is authentic and what is real. So try to minimize the information you're getting from everywhere through social media, WhatsApp, through different news channels. But get, for instance, if you find something interesting, Google it from the authentic websites. If they claim so, then believe it. Otherwise, don't. Remember that kids are stressed too, right? We need to understand, if you are in family right now where you have children, you need to understand that still if we are able to cope with it, maybe our children won't. So you need to understand that they might also exhibit PTSD symptoms 4 times to the rate of children who have not been quarantined, which is a very, very crucial statistics. So we need to focus on that also. So the CDC recommends that the parents and adults talk to children about coronavirus, and there are so many good authentic ways to talk about it, through social stories, through different animations, which will actually give them the real information without overwhelming them, without threatening them. So that is a very important part. Instead of just leaving them with a question mark, if what is happening, why they are suddenly at home, you need to make them understand also, because then if you won't fulfill their questions and satisfy them, they will start Googling it. And when you Google it, you know how bad it can be, right? Remember why you are doing this. Now you need to understand, as I mentioned earlier, like the positive aspect of this, that this is important. Socially isolating yourself is important, not just for yourself. Focus, think that you are doing it for others also. Feel that this is an altruistic action that you're doing. You're not doing it for yourself. Staying at home, staying quarantine is helping so many other people also who might get infected if you have that virus in you, right? And with that, uh, uh, by doing this, the spread of disease, you're protecting others, you're protecting yourself. Think about the greater good, what you are doing with it, right? So focus on the positive sides, which I completely know is less than the negative, but still there are, and it is important. Just think about, if you get affected, what will you do then? Right now you are not, you are healthy, you can make the most out of it. And we are at a time, uh, uh, I think, thank God, we are in a time quarantine when we have technology, we have resources, we have powerful weapons as social media, so we can use it in a healthy way to help ourselves, to help others also. With that, I would say thank you so much. And these are the some references I've used and collected information from. I hope you have gotten some information through the web presentation. And if you have any questions, please do ask.
Thank you so much, Tuba. I think it was very productive and very effective for us to understand the entire cycle of the quarantine life, its effects, its consequences, and then the solutions. So I
Yes,
think it was well, it went right in the flow. I have a few questions from our attendees. So I'm going to, ask one by one, and then you can
yes.
answer it accordingly. The first one is how to cope up with the trauma of losing a job during this critical time.
Okay. Now, again, I think many of organizations have started doing that, downsizing, which I know is very traumatic. But again, right now you feel like this is the end of the world, but now from home you can do so much. For instance, if you have lost some job, and with that you can do something else at home. For instance, I know one of my friends, she was in a software company and she lost a job. She has started working on her own project at home, which then she can show off to some other companies which might hire her with that work. So stay productive. Please believe that this is not the end of the world. Start doing some online courses. Heavy your CV. Do some diplomas online. There are so many workshops going on. Start working on that, how you can be more creative and more productive, and actually advance your expertise in the field in which you work in.
Absolutely right. Tuba, thank you so much for sharing that. We totally understand that we have more of the negative thoughts right now than the positive thoughts, and they do get over each other at times.
Of
And
course.
like very rightly said by you during your session, that's okay to feel like that. You don't need to stress out a lot over the feelings that you are having right now. The entire world is going through the same feelings that we may be facing during this crisis. So another question that we have here is, what if someone is having a panic attack because of this crisis? How do you suggest us to cope up with it?
Okay. First of all, if you are having a panic attack, if you have somewhere in your home where you can breathe properly, at the balcony, on the roof, just go there, breathe, sit down, let yourself cry out. Don't stop yourself to cry. Don't stop yourself to feel that overwhelming emotions. Let it out. Panic attack, the most difficult part is that we try to stop the symptoms. Don't do that. Breathe properly, inhale air properly, be with someone, hold their hands as hard as you can, and let your emotions out. If you want to cry out, if you want to scream out, do that. Let it be. And with practice, with some meditative online videos, some meditative exercise, yoga, it can help you with the further panic attacks also. But when initially, if you're having it, let it out. Don't stop it.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Tuba, for that very valuable piece of advice. Additionally, one question from my side is, these days, like you suggested, whenever we are facing difficulty, anxiety, depression, we approach people. I mean, we approach our family, we approach our friends. So what is your advice to the people to respond to such approaches? If, for example, somebody approaches me that, I'm feeling very depressed because I maybe lost my job, or the news is so,
Mm.
cringeworthy. So how do you think I should respond to it, to not to have that person feel worse, but
Yeah.
to have that person feel better?
Okay. First of all, the key to that is patience. When they come to you, show your minimal expressions. Don't give you, sometimes you say nothing, but with your facial expressions they get it. Okay, you're getting frustrated, you're getting annoyed, you don't want to listen, you're on your phone when they're talking to you. Don't do that. Stop your work. Either you are watching TV, either you are on your phone. Just keep it aside. Listen to them. Sometimes even just listening to them without responding, you will make them feel better. Sometimes they just want some ears to listen to what they are saying without having the fear of getting judged, or having that hush hush feeling that just finish what you're saying and leave. Okay. So at time, for few minutes, give your all to them. That's all they need. And in
Absolutely right.
return, just say that, you know what, I'm feeling the same. Thank you for telling me that. I don't feel alone. So sometimes when people hear that they are not alone, and someone else is also feeling that way, 50% of the uh, cure is done.
Definitely, I totally agree with what you said. Tuba, maybe a few more questions, two or three more
Yeah, yeah,
questions,
fine,
and then
sure.
we are going to wind up the session. Somebody said that, I'm overthinking a lot these days. So what do you have, what do you suggest for the people who cannot stop their thoughts? I mean, no matter how much they focus on the positivity, but because the negativity is so much on the news,
Yeah.
on social media, everywhere we go, it's just so negative. So how can we actually stop overthinking?
Okay. Now, first of all, again, thinking, negative thinking exaggerates when we try to stop it. First thing that you can do is talk about it. Second thing, what you can do is try to distract with something that gives you pure happiness. Something, that hobbies that actually can distract you and give you that positive feeling. Even if talking to someone gives you that, Don't worry that if I say this out loud, people are going to judge me, because you are judging yourself all the time right now. That's why those negative thinkings keep persuading you. Don't do that. Otherwise, in the end, your self-esteem will start getting low. Your mood will start getting low. And if you don't find someone, as I said, I think I said it in the presentation, because I do that all the time. I start writing it. And when I feel a little better, I can actually see how irrational I can sometimes think, and how negative I sometimes think. And then when I feel better and I see, okay, I was thinking too much on the negative side, these are the positive effects. So you can habitually do that to yourself. So you can go ahead
Right.
now.
Absolutely. And then, I think it's very, it depends on you. How do you understand yourself? Like you said,
Absolutely.
it's you feel better when you write. So, you do that. However, you yourself knows what is best for you. So maybe if
Yeah.
you cannot write, there's people who
Hmm.
are not very much confident, or or expressive while writing. Maybe you can have a audio record of yourself in your mobile phone just to let it
Yes,
out.
yes. Bilkul. Yeah,
Maybe you can just
absolutely.
call a friend who do you think is going to understand what you're
Hmm.
saying. You can maybe have a communication with them. So whenever you are overthinking, just see the way that what would make you feel better. Will writing make me feel better? Would just talking to myself in the mirror make me feel
Hmm.
better?
Hmm.
Audio recording on my mobile phone is going to make me feel better. So you analyze yourself, reflect on your own self, and try to
Yes,
come up with the solutions. Because like I said in
absolutely.
the beginning, this is unprecedented, and we need to understand what works best for us.
Yes,
Nobody is perfect, and nobody knows what is going to work and what will not work for every other individual. You have your own
absolutely.
needs, you have your own capacity. So one last
Absolutely.
question, Tuba, we would like to go ahead with is, um, since this quarantine started, I have been trying my best to put up a routine. I always plan for a routine. However, I'm not able to follow it every day. I fail in following a routine that I set a night earlier. So, what are
Hmm.
your suggestions or advices to the people that how they can actually stick themselves to the routine that you talked about in the presentation that helps in coping up with mental anxiety and depression?
Okay. What we do is tend to, I think, with sometimes with excitement, and sometimes uh, putting too much on your shoulders, you make a very tough routine. You believe that you can do that. Sometimes, for instance, in my routine, I have given 3 hours of studying, and practically, I never study 3 hours continuously, right? I've never used to do that, and I have given that task to myself. So how can you do, if you are not able to do that in your normal routine, how will you be able to do this in this stressful routine? So you need to spread that routine and cut it off, not try put doing everything in 1 week, in 1 day. Spread it out, starting with put 2 tasks on your day. If you feel like you were able to do it and complete it, and if you were not able to do even 2 tasks, come to one, start with one, complete it, start and complete it, and reflect on it. And from the next day, add another one. Then from the next day, add another one. Thinking and knowing your own capacity and your competency. Make your own routine. There are so many online routines for you. Don't follow that. It will not work for you. It is very specific. It is very subjective. And nobody knows yourself better than yourself. So work according to your capacity. Don't be overconfident that you will be able to do that. Then you will be, in the end, you will feel disappointed with your own self. So don't do that. So have the sense
Yeah.
of achievement even by doing just one thing a day.
Hmm. I again agree with whatever you said. You know what I have been doing is just first an example, just to motivate myself to keep working out every day, to do my exercises. I have added a support group of my cousin, because she also likes to
Mm.
do workouts. So, at times she calls me and motivates me. Did you do your workout today? No, she forces me to get
Yeah,
up, and motivates me,
yeah. And this is a
encourages
very
me
good
to
way.
do the workout. And while she lacks motivation, I serve as a support system for her. So, in this situation, it's very important for us to be a support to each other, to work together as a community. We need to understand that each one of us need help right now, and we
Yes.
should be available for the people around us who are
Yes.
searching for help, who need support of any kind, and we can actually, provide it to them.
Yeah.
One last question. I'm sorry I said the
No, no,
previous
no,
one would be
please, no
last, but I
problem.
think
Yes.
this is very important. Sana Badr says that one of her family members has become very quiet after all the crisis, and he is not expressing himself um, a, a lot in the family. So, what are your suggestions to keep him motivated to share, to bring the family together? He has she says that he is right now into isolation and he doesn't share his feelings with the family or friends. So what do you suggest how they can help people who just confine themselves into a shell and do not come forward and share their feelings?
Okay. Um, uh, Sana, someone Sana asked, right?
Sana, yeah.
Sana. Okay, Sana, one thing that you are not the one who is asking about it. I have so many emails regarding this, that my child have isolated themselves, my wife have isolated herself, my father. So this is happening, I think, after I think with every household, for a very short period of time or long period of time, someone faces that. Now, what I tend to do that, why do people get into isolation? Because they want to distance themselves, first of all, and they want to be in their own world for a while, because they feel less stressful over there and they feel happy over there compared to the real world right now. So instead of, for instance, you want to bring them out into your reality, you need to enter their world. You need to enter their isolation. Instead of asking them and telling them, look, you being isolated is wrong, I think being with us is better. They will never understand by your words. You need to be with them. For instance, if they are being isolated, sit with them, start talking to them, not about their isolation, not at all. Something that you know they are going to respond with. Some kind of a news, some kind of a game, some kind of let's play this, let's do this. What about, have you seen the season? Do you know this new season on Netflix? I think you will like it. Things like that, that you know they will respond to. Instead of, why are you being so quiet? Why are you not talking to me? You know what, you have been so isolated. Don't do that. Because for them, this is the right way. Don't tell them they are wrong, because if you are not isolated doesn't mean that they're wrong, because they feel less stressful. This is their coping strategy. Look in this way. So what you need to do is let them know that you respect the isolation, and then they definitely will start responding to you and start entering back into the family. But you need to cut this slack to them also, that they need this time. It's okay for a day or two, but if it goes on, don't tell them that they are wrong. Ask and talk to them about different things instead of telling them what they are wrong. And definitely it will work with children, with adults. It works all the time.
Absolutely. Just like in your presentation, you discussed about personalities. So every
Yes.
individual, they have different personalities. That is where
Yes.
the theory of individualism comes through.
Yes.
That each person is different. Each person has different, capacity to cope up with problems. So
Yes.
definitely, if somebody
Absolutely.
approaches you, do not say, "Oh, you are overthinking," or "You are
Mm,
overreacting to this news." You don't know what that person's mental capacity is. So it's always
absolutely.
good to understand the personality traits of a person and then
Yes.
deal with them accordingly.
Yeah.
So I think we are going to bring this session to an end. It was so productive that we thought of having it for 40 minutes, but the questions kept coming in, and we are now about to hit 1 hour clock right now. So thank you so much, Tuba. It was a very informative session, and we are very hopeful that we are going to engage you again in
Of
future
course.
for such valuable input that you have been given. In the end, I would like to thank everybody who joined us, our English Works alumni who are here with us on Zoom, all the audience that joined us on Facebook Live. We are going to continue bringing productive sessions for you so that we all as a community together can lift each other up during difficult times and beyond. So thank you so much, everybody, and have a nice evening.